And so there it is. The absolute most perfect example. Remember the whole January 6th grandma meme? This one, just an innocent-looking old woman standing around in some government building with an American flag. This photo is dubbed Capital Meemaw, and it was meant as a meme, and the purpose of this meme was to highlight the clear double standard. Anarcho-communists rage in the street, smashing cars, burning buildings, assaulting police officers, and it's a peaceful protest. Capital Meemaw simply waves her American flag while standing in a government building, and Joe Biden's DOJ is sending in the marshals. And of course, I know all the left-wing fact-checkers are coming in. Well, actually, that adorable photo of Capital Meemaw holding the American flag, looking all innocent, isn't from January 6th. That photo was taken in Kansas and is completely unrelated to the January 6th insurrection. Fact-check false, which of course we already know. But Capital Meemaw is just a meme, meant to highlight the hypocrisy and highlight the double standard. Capital Meemaw is a visual representation of what's really happening. And while you probably get exactly where I'm going, what was highlighted in the original meme is happening in real life. Here's a real life example to show you the priorities of this DOJ. We got some stuff to get into, so let's roll the tape. All right, folks, so take a look. I mean, Capital Meemaw truly exists, and she's not the only one. Colorado praying grandma awaits verdict after prosecution for briefly entering Capitol on January 6th. Rebecca Lavrenz, dubbed the praying grandmother, attended the Stop the Steal rally on January 6, 2021, prayed with a group of people outside the Capitol building, and went into the Capitol building, where she stayed for just 10 minutes. Well, she's been on trial this week in Washington, D.C., facing prosecution at the hands of Biden's Department of Justice. By her own admission, she spent about 10 minutes inside the building on J6, over an hour praying outside, and for that, she has been charged with 4 misdemeanor counts. Surveillance footage shows her peacefully walking around inside the Capitol building and even speaking to a Capitol police officer who leaned forward slightly to hear her. Quote, "I didn't get into this for myself," she said. "I was there to stand up for my country. I asked God if I did something wrong, if I needed to repent, and God said no. You went there to make my presence known and to pray. My biggest prayer is that God gets the final word this week." Lavrenz, who was making a birthday cake for her son when the FBI was knocking on her door over a year after January 6th, was charged with entering and remaining in a restricted building or grounds, disorderly conduct in a Capitol building, and parading, demonstrating, or picketing in a Capitol building. So immediately where my brain's going after reading that, I'm asking myself again the same question: what are we doing here? What is the purpose of all this? This is the major focus of Joe Biden's DOJ, going after a religious grandma who peacefully protested and prayed for people around her, whose biggest crime was walking around the rotunda for 2 minutes and observing a conflict. This is really what taxpayer dollars are prioritizing? Obviously, a certain group of people really want to send a message, and it's not a partisan message, maybe more of a deep state message, because many Republicans seem to be supporting this whole thing. Karl Rove said this the other day.
If they were smart, they'd take the January 6th and go hard at it. And they would say, he wants to pardon these people who attacked our Capitol. I worked in that building as a young man. To me, the Congress of the United States is one of the great examples of the strength of our democracy and a jewel of the Constitution. And what those people did when they violently attacked the Capitol in order to stop a constitutionally mandated meeting of the Congress to accept the results of the Electoral College is a stain on our history. And every one of those sons of who did that, we ought to find them, try them, and send them to jail. And one of the critical mistakes made in this campaign is that Donald Trump has now said, I'm going to pardon those people because they're hostages. No, they're not. They're thugs. There were people, some of them had automatic weapons at a hotel in Virginia hoping to be able to be called up. We had people saying, where's Nancy Pelosi? We had people who were, taking desks and sitting at the desk of the Speaker of the House and attempting to, find people in order to bring them to justice and saying yelling at the police, kill them all. And so why Trump has done this is beyond me. If he had said, you know what? I trust our jury system. I trust law enforcement. Anybody who assaulted the Capitol ought to be. He said it once or twice, but now he's appearing in a video with people who assaulted police officers with an intent to take the Capitol by force. So, look, I'm a Republican. I don't want to have a Democrat president. I want to have a Republican president. But we're facing as a country a decision, and everybody gets to make it. as to what kind of leadership we're going to have. And to me, it is a mistake on the part of the Trump campaign to allow the president's impulses to identify himself with the people who assaulted the Capitol rather than people who stand for law and order.
You know, there's clearly a group of Washington politicians who really want to send a message. Well, message has been sent. Criminals ravaging society, no issues there, definitely not a priority for them. Illegal migrants, and in many cases illegal migrant criminals, simply being let in are victimizing Americans. Should the DOJ be looking in that direction or focused there? Probably, but nah. They're more focused on pursuing misdemeanor charges on Capitol meemaws, sending the FBI knocking at their door, probably spending hundreds of thousands of dollars, and in total probably millions of dollars, pursuing these cases, prosecuting every person who is present on the day. And of course, we know that's just the backdrop behind their 91 indictments, or I think roughly 85 indictments left, their political persecution and pursuit of former President Donald Trump. It all creates a very clear picture of what's going on. The focus is less about keeping the people safe and more about enshrining power at the top, sending a very clear message to those who seek reform, to those who seek transparency, to those who push the envelope a little bit or challenge the status quo. They're essentially saying, don't try it, because if you do, well, you see the consequences. In my view, no other explanation makes any sense. How else can you explain away this intense pursuit of a praying grandmother? In my mind, it's very simple. There's no justification for it, and the only explanation is clear, and that's why it's important, more important than ever, again, in my personal view, for Donald Trump to win again, because somebody needs to right this wrong. We have seen too much evidence countering the most major claims surrounding the events by those on the other side. Too many people are getting swept up by this thing. It's become too wide-reaching. Clearly, there's an element of political retribution as well as a message being sent, and Donald Trump and maybe Vivek Ramaswamy seem to be the only people with enough courage to speak out about it and promise to do something about it when elected.
If I run and if I win, we will treat those people from January 6th fairly. We will treat them fairly. And if it requires pardons, we will give them pardons because they are being treated so unfairly.
I'm not the president yet. I don't have all the facts. Even with the facts I have, I will say anybody who didn't commit an act of violence that day gets a pardon on day one. Most presidents wait till the last day they're in office to do the pardons and then just sort of sign them off, and they don't want accountability. No, I'm going to get hit hard for this. I don't care. I'll take it. That's what we want. Part of the point is sending a signal to this country. So on January 20th, 2025, anybody on that list, and by the way, Julian Assange to Donald Trump to Douglas Mackey to a whole bunch of others, Owen Schroyer was from January 6th, is going to get a pardon on that day one too.
I think most people just want to see some discretion applied. You know, if people smashed windows and acted very inappropriately, then sure, apply an appropriate response. But this whole notion of everybody who was present on the day being labeled a domestic terrorist and having the federal government chasing each and every single individual down, well, it simply feels excessive. Anyways, that's pretty much what I got on my mind. That's the video. If you enjoyed it, make sure to leave a like and possibly subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.